timing.
No. Yes, just the commissioners, yes. Thank you.
Ready? Good evening, everyone. Sorry, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Planning and Zoning meeting on May 4th, 2026. It's 6:30, and we're calling the meeting to order. Please rise for a moment of silence and the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Bringing it back to the board. I want to let everyone know that Commissioner Beacon, Mindy resigned, so we are now at 4 of us. So if you know or in advance, so you will not be here, please let us know since we're down to 4 of us. And anybody wants to go, I'm sure they can look to, we are taking applications, I'm not sure. I mean, see Mark. Okay, agenda review. Is there any changes or anything, Jennifer, staff, Joyce, no changes?
No changes to the agenda.
Guys can-
No changes.
None.
All right, we are moving on to public comments. If there is anyone in the audience that would like to address anything not on the agenda, please come forward and state your name and address for the record. No one? Okay. We are closing public comments, bringing it back to the board for approval of item 1, minutes of the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting from April 6, 2026. Are there any corrections or deletions that we need to be made? I've noticed one.
Could I know?
Nothing here.
Motion to approve.
Wait, 1 second. I've got one. In the minutes, where was it? It says seconded by Commissioner O'Halloran. She hasn't been on this board for a while, so it was, probably was Commissioner Martin. So if you can please check that. It was.
Well, Commissioner McCoy wasn't even here last one, so it says,
No, where was that one?
wait, did you do, you were here last week? Sorry, I was,
It was Mindy.
so,
it was-
gotcha. It was, I see what you're saying. So you're talking about line number 47?
Yeah, I believe that's
Okay.
where, I don't have it open right now.
Yeah, I see it. Commissioner O'Halloran.
Yeah, so it was probably, I'm assuming it was you, because I don't have my notes right in front of me, but do you have any?
You are likely correct. I will take that one.
They could check it too, but anything else? Did you have any notes?
No,
Okay.
no, I didn't even see that one, so good eyeballs.
I know, it just stood out, yeah. Okay. So can I get a motion to approve the minutes of the April 6th meeting?
Motion to approve as corrected.
Second.
I have a first and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, which is all of us. Motion approved. All right, moving on to commission and discussion action items. Items 2, the resolution 2026-22, special exception, adult congregate living facility at 60C Center Street. Jennifer.
This is a resolution of the City Council of the City of Minneola, Florida, granting a special exception use permit pursuant to Chapter 102, Division 12, Section 102-343 of the Land Development Code of the City of Minneola, Florida, for property located at 60 Center Street, Unit C, Minneola, allowing for the location of an adult congregate living facility on the property, providing for conditions, providing for recordation, and providing for an effective date. And if you wouldn't mind, I'd like to swear everyone in at this time.
Yes, please.
Because we have several quasi-judicial items on the agenda tonight, if you plan to get up and speak this evening, could you please be sworn in? Please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you.
Okay, so this item is for, Ms. Dela Cruz has had a adult daycare. It's just a daycare for senior adults. She has had it in the unit next to her for 10 years. I've heard good reviews on it. She really cares about adults. She's a very nice lady, really cares about senior adults, and she wants the unit next to her has now become vacant, so she's just asking for a special exception to allow her to expand onto this additional unit and provide additional services. This is something our city really needs. I believe she's the only one we have in the city, and, you know, we have a lot of seniors here. So this way, the families have somewhere, if they can't be left alone during the day while they're at work, they have somewhere safe and that really cares for them and takes care of them during the day.
Is the applicant here?
She's here.
She's not, I'm sorry?
I don't see her here.
Okay. All right, well, bring it to the, see if there's any questions that we can answer that she's not here. I don't know if she's planning on being here. So bringing it to questions to us, going left to right, Commissioner Rose, is there anything that you have questions that you want to try to address on this?
My question is, it's currently a adult daycare, correct?
Yes, and the unit next to it, and she just wants to add another unit on so she can have a few more people.
Okay, because this is worded as a living facility. Does that mean that they're going to stay overnight? Are there going to be rooms for them to sleep, shower?
That's just way our code is worded for any
Okay.
kind of adult daycare.
So just to expand the daycare facility then
Right,
is what
it's
she's
just
looking to do?
daycare. It's not to spend overnight facilities.
Okay.
To my understanding. She has to be licensed for the state for whatever she does.
Okay, thank you.
I don't hear you.
No other questions?
All right. Commissioner Martin, do you have any questions you would like to?
So I do. Is she anticipating any additional expenses beyond what is already being proposed today, or is this it for her?
She just wants this to add on to allow more people to be able to take care of more people.
Right, but is there any other lots that in the future she is considering additional expansions, or is it?
Seriously, I would be very surprised if she did, because she only can take whatever units are available. She doesn't own the building. And this, like I said, it's taken her 10 years to be able to expand this much.
So how is drop-off and pickup going to be managed to avoid conflict with this expansion?
I don't know anything about that part, but I mean, I don't know of any complaints we've had on the existing one.
Do you know?
It's a small business center to begin with.
Do you know how many units additionally it would add her? Like if she added this expansion, how many additional units it'll give her?
I don't know. That's controlled by the state. We have no control over that. We
And-
just allow it or not allow it.
I feel like with this being quasi-judicial, with her not being here, this makes it very difficult to ask all the right questions, especially because there's no information in the packet that was provided with this. So is there any way that we would be able to like potentially table this until she comes so we can ask the questions and give an appropriate recommendation to the council?
We can certainly have the item tabled and encourage the applicant to show.
Yeah, because the
Yeah.
questions
I
I
think
have.
that would be a
are
wise
related
idea.
to her.
Yeah, I think it's just a little difficult to be able to ask the appropriate questions if the applicant's not here.
Yeah.
So can we make a motion to table this item?
Second.
Do you want to table it to a date certain?
I mean,
Next month is fine,
next
right?
month is fine as long as she could be here.
Yeah.
Unless she can get it in here before the end of this meeting. I mean, we can move it down if you think you can get her in here, because I hate for her, who knows, I don't mind postponing it for a little bit unless we can't do that.
Well, again, I take the stand, if it's not important to you, it's not important to us, so she should have been here for this.
Important, who
Well,
knows what
maybe-
happened.
Maybe
but-
she wasn't notified. I don't know.
So our next planning and zoning meeting is June 1st, so we'll have it on the June 1st agenda.
I think that that's best.
Okay.
Agreed.
I'll
Okay,
still
I get
need
it.
a motion.
I'm sorry, can I get a motion to postpone this to the June 1st meeting?
I'll make a motion to postpone item 2 to June 1st.
Second.
Okay, Motion, second, okay, that was, who was that, Rose?
Yes.
Okay, I have a first and second, all in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. Easily, okay. All right. Item 3, preliminary subdivision plat, Camp Lake Industrial Park. Eric.
What are you doing? No, I'm done. Sorry.
All right,
Good evening, Chair and Commissioners.
Sorry, guys.
My name is Eric Rosh with Inspired Placemaking, here in my capacity as a contract planner to the city. I'll have the next few cases. This is item 3 on your agenda, Camp Lake Industrial Park Preliminary Subdivision Plat. I'll speak about the location and the history of the project. I'll run through the request, and then I'll wrap up with a summary. So this one's west of North Hancock Road and the Turnpike. It's north of Citrus Grove Road. It's just over 164 acres in size. It's currently zoned PUD. It's within the Hills of Minneola PUD. And the access from the property comes from what's known as Turkey Farm Road, which is a offshoot of Citrus Grove Road. The PD for this property was originally approved back in 2006, and then there was a major amendment in 2019 that designated this area as industrial and research park. You can see it highlighted in the red box. It's approved for 1.4 million square feet of industrial uses. The site plan was originally approved by council on December 17, 2024. And that site plan for phase 1 included just under 378,000 square feet of industrial warehouse uses. There were additionally some variances approved in November of 2025 for building design to allow flat roofs. And as you've probably seen, if you've been by the site is under construction currently. There is vertical construction ongoing on the site today. The request here today is for a preliminary subdivision plat. So while the current improvements that you see being constructed in the field were all permitted previously, they're coming back now to formally subdivide the property into 3 separate lots. And you can see them outlined on the screen. Turkey Farm Road provides access east, west, and north-south, and that was subject to an agreement between Lake County and the city, whereby the city is going to take control of the road and the applicant is going to be responsible for future road maintenance for that. So there won't be a maintenance responsibility for the city. So in summary, we've received the application for the preliminary subdivision plat. We did have one condition referenced in the staff report, which is on the screen. It's my understanding that the design and construction of Turkey Farm Road has been resolved. And of course, the applicant is going to be responsible for the roadway maintenance as referenced here on the slide. So with that, staff would recommend approval, and we're here for any questions. Thank you. And I believe the applicant's here as well, and they have some remarks.
Okay. Thank you, Eric. All right. Open it up to the commissioner's question, going right to left. Commissioner Martin, questions you'd like to ask?
So full disclosure, I did contact the developer because I had questions for clarity, so I did talk to them prior to. So my main question is, with splitting these 3 plots, where is the stormwater ultimately discharged at with this? Can someone?
Hey, good evening. My name's Kevin Castile with Strategic Development Partners, address 2235 Roxburgh Road, Roswell, Georgia, 30076. I'm the owner and developer of the property, so happy to try to answer any questions you have. Appreciate your call this morning and talking through some of your concerns and questions. I don't have the engineer plans with me at this moment to speak specifically about where it's being discharged, but the way we outline this project is 3 phases: phase 1A, 1B, and 2. So 1A is what you see in purple, which has currently been permitted, and permits have been approved by the city and city engineers, and they've confirmed that any detention and on-site drainage issues, et cetera, are all within code. The next 2 phases, what we consider 1B and 2, the final design for those 2 phases is not completed. There is preliminary design for what you can see there that's kind of faint, showing the other 5 buildings. The detention and on-site drainage for that is designed if those buildings is what ultimately is constructed, and it meets all the city codes and standards and things of that nature.
Okay. And my next question is about the maintenance, because I know you said you're ensuring the maintenance of the road there. So what what is the plans, like, what are you putting in place to ensure that that Turkey, what is it, Turkey Lake Farm, or Turkey Farm Road, what's the long-term maintenance plan for that?
So, as Eric mentioned, it was originally county property that has been deeded over to the city. And then we'll have it will be our responsibility to maintain that road through an agreement with the city.
Okay.
So the city would be able to, if we weren't maintaining it to city standards, the city could come in and force us to do so. And
Right.
they would have leverage because we're using city utilities such as water and sewer and things of that nature. So
Right,
obviously
but I
they
mean,
could-
like, as of now, is there any plans that you have? Like, is it yearly? Is it
I'm sorry.
you know, like, what does that
So-
maintenance look like?
So it's being constructed now as part of the Phase 1A. We would anticipate the construction traffic for the future phases to wear and tear on that, on the initial construction of the road. And there would probably need to be some rework done as the construction is completed throughout the project. Once the construction is completed, we'll have an association between all the owners, all the, that the tenants would be a part of. And there would be yearly reserves put back for a maintenance program for that road at that time.
Okay. So wear and tear throughout the construction period will be maintained, and then after that, it's going to be yearly reserves for,
That's correct.
okay. All right. Those are my questions.
Okay, Commissioner McCoy?
Could you come back to me?
Yep. Commissioner Rose?
As far as your tenant spaces, what is going to be your minimum tenant space and maximum tenant space?
Right now, we're advertising that 14,000 square feet is kind of the minimum, and as large as a full building tenant, if someone wanted to take the entire building. We anticipate kind of the average tenant size being in like the 30 to 40,000 square foot range. We probably would not initially start with a 14,000 square foot tenant. It's pretty small for like the first tenant in the building. But 2 bays, which is that 20 to 25,000 square foot range, would be the ideal initial tenant size.
So really, your industrial park isn't designed for small business?
I would disagree. I mean, I think we would consider that kind of 15 to 30, 40,000 square foot tenant is a small tenant in the sense of a lot of times those tenant sizes are locally owned, local management, local staff, et cetera. They could be national brands as well.
Still too big?
Too big to be considered small?
Correct. As a small business owner, I know growing into spaces, to go from the spaces that are currently available in South Lake County into a 14,000 square foot space is impossible for a small business. So you're really not gearing it towards small business.
I would have to respectfully disagree.
Okay. No other questions?
Okay. Commissioner McCoy?
Question, the impact on Citrus Grove as it currently is it, I know I didn't see a traffic study or anything, so what kind of impact? No, I'm not talking about traffic numbers, I'm talking about the condition of the highway.
So our project did not require us to do a new traffic study. The traffic study was already completed as part of the master PUD that Eric mentioned earlier. So what we proposed to build on our site was equal to or less than what was part of that original traffic study. Therefore, a new traffic study wasn't required.
Traffic study not required.
Because we stayed within the limits of the traffic study that was already completed, correct, as part of the master PUD.
Is this operation is gonna be all night, 24/7?
It will have the ability to be 24/7, correct.
I know there was a mention in, that there was a 30-foot retaining wall, is that correct?
That's incorrect.
Incorrect?
Yes.
What is the retaining? There is a retaining wall that goes around it.
There are, I believe, we did not ask for a variance request for the retaining wall, so I think it's 6 feet is the maximum height of a single retaining wall, I believe.
Is that retaining wall going to be concrete?
I don't know off the top of my head how it's being constructed. But just to reinforce or remind, tonight we're here for the preliminary subdivision plat. We're not asking for any sort of zoning changes, variances to the project, anything of that nature. It's already gone through all that process. It's entitled. It has a permit. We're under construction, et cetera. But happy to try to answer any of those questions I have. I just wasn't prepared with questions like around retaining walls and things of that nature tonight.
I think if we're looking at it, we're just trying to look at the whole project, so that's where that's coming from. But Thanks for letting us know.
So just for the record, I just want to confirm that all code and concurrency requirements are satisfied at this stage, and that what remains would only be like engineering details. Is that what you're?
That's correct.
Okay.
And there were some public comments submitted, I believe, as part of our review, as our application. And I'm sure some of those may be brought up tonight. And we've talked with the gentleman that submitted those comments, and I think some of them were very good and can be incorporated as part of our design as well and made as fill changes.
Are you referring to the comments of the people
Thought I was asking a question.
who had issues with how it's being constructed currently on Turkey Farm? Why I always would call it Turkey Lake, Turkey Farm Road?
That's correct. Yeah, it was like some signage comments and things like that at the intersection where the turkey farm tees into itself.
Yeah.
And making sure that's signed correctly. And we're proposing 3 stop signs there, like a 3-way stop.
Okay, I just want to make sure we're talking about the same comments.
That's
Okay,
correct.
because I saw those as well.
Yes.
No, go ahead. Did you have
Kevin, can you come
Oh,
up for a minute?
I was just
Ask
about to
a
ask if there's anyone in the audience that would like to speak
No,
on this
I wanna
topic, to
ask him
please
a
come
question.
forward. I know, yep, that's why I was going to bring it to the audience, and Kevin, I
Thank
figured it
you.
would be coming forward.
Kevin,
I know we're gonna
without,
have more questions.
without a current traffic study, what's your opinion of the effects of this property or the warehouses?
I mean, from what I saw, or Kevin Carey, 20237 Sugarloaf Mountain Road, do all the official stuff. I don't know if I can comment on that. I mean, I reviewed the study from before, and I didn't see any issues with that. I think we talked more about the way trucks were getting in and out and how they were going to come out of Citrus Grove. Now I got me messed up trying to talk about different road
Listen,
names.
I'm telling you these words.
Turkey Farm Road. That's, I don't, to get onto Citrus Grove from Turkey Farm Road, I didn't see any issues, but I have some comments on the slides that we can go over too, but your question about Citrus Grove, now, from what I understand, that they are starting to clear the land to widen and realign Citrus Grove now. So by the time this gets to those phases, that part of Citrus Grove between 27 and this development should be done by that point. So that way you're not driving down that switchback and the road it's not even a road anymore, it's just potholes and patches from everything. I mean, that's all it is right now, right? So at that point, that road should be in place and then you won't have any, major issues on Citrus Grove. So,
90% of that traffic from the site will probably enter
from Hancock.
Citrus Grove and
Yeah,
go on
correct.
Hancock to the Turnpike.
You'll get some, you'll get some that may bleed off of the Turnpike to come down 27, like if there's an accident or something on the Turnpike, you'll get the trucks, they'll divert and come down that way. So you still will get some, especially if you have ones that are coming up from like the I-4 area that would come up, and they would probably keep going 27 and then make the right turn on Citrus Grove, then come into development that way. That's where I would see it be coming from. But I don't see that this is going to generate, these are the kind of facilities that would generate the peak volumes going in, depending on your shift times, and then your peak volumes coming out. So when you're looking at like, we study a lot of these for like traffic signals, and you get those peak spikes where people are, because everyone dumps out at the same time, they clocking out at 3 or 5 or whatever they set their times to, but you'll get the volumes coming out for that. But I mean, you got a decent sized parking lot, but I don't think you're gonna see huge swings in traffic on this one, besides like larger trucks that come in and out of there. But I don't know if that answers your question or not, but I just don't see it as it's not like a larger store that comes in there that would you have constant cars going in there throughout the day. So
Yeah, I'm also, I'm just concerned about the surface. I mean,
If,
that-
you mean the road surface of Turkey Farm or Citrus Grove?
Citrus Grove
So,
and turning on the Hancock.
right. So you can get, turning onto Hancock, you couldn't get, depending on how the road was built, you'd have to look at the pavement design for that to determine that. Now, normally, when you're looking at it, they take the certain axle loads that come out for a certain amount of trucks that they expect to use that road, and they design the pavement that way. You can get shoving, you can get rutting, that can happen depending on how it was built, but I don't know that any of us know what that is right now. We'd have to look at the county's plans on how Citrus Grove Road was built. So, I mean, we've come back and looked at, it just, sometimes you get that, most of it's like the base is what fails before, and that's why you started getting the rutting, because the limestone that we use down there, if the water gets through, it starts to erode it, and then you start getting rutting. If the pavement is not built correctly, you get the shoving, which is all those pieces of asphalt you see getting to move, and that's from the heavier trucks from, coming to a stop at Hancock Road.
We probably haven't addressed that issue, Joyce, or Kip. Who's responsible if the condition of the roads get too bad?
The roads are county roads.
Right.
And that the county regulates the roads, the county maintains the roads, but the county also charges these businesses impact fees when they come in to help with the costs that these businesses will put on the roads or whatever. There's county impact fees that are paid a part of the building permit, traffic impact fees, county traffic impact fees.
There's going to be, I'm back, different subject, there's going to be a large water valve, or when that comes up running, how is that going to affect the neighborhood?
You're talking like a draw, like drawing water,
Right.
oh, drawing the water?
Right, or shouldn't?
I believe our city engineer is here. I think he can answer these things. He's looked at these things when he did the plan evaluation. Bo, can you come answer any questions they have on the plans themselves?
Yes, sir. We looked at the water and sewer caps.
Can you come to the mic, please?
Yeah, can you please come to the microphone?
Or you can borrow.
Yes, sir. We looked at the counts. City has the utility capacity for the development. We had no issues with that.
No issues? How about lift station? Is it going to join with the one that's already there, or?
I believe you do have a lift station on your site, right?
I'm not certain how the first two buildings would be. From a sewer standpoint, I don't know if we're having a lift station for the first two ones. I know we will for the future.
Brad, can you bring up that previous slide, the previous presentation? Where'd that go?
Yeah, we looked at the water, sewer, paving, grading, and drainage, so, and all that. I mean, there were several rounds of reviews, but all that got addressed and approved. So I can't remember where the.
So if I remember right, looking at the original set of plans, there was a lift station somewhere back in here, I thought. Because I remember there was an access road that went somewhere, I know you guys can see it, but from back in here, there was something that, there is a lift station in there. I remember seeing it in the plans, but I think it was back here. Wait, where's my,
And that's part of the phase one.
is that right?
But it is part of phase one.
Right, but it was like back somewhere like over here, right, in
I
this,
was gonna
somewhere in
say,
that corner? Yeah.
Phase one, because we went over that one.
I'm confused how this is relevant to this division of this plat, though. Like, how are these questions relevant to what we're discussing? I think that these are great questions. I'm just not sure. And I want to speak that for the record to get clarity.
Well, I just want to know some answers, that's all.
Okay. I was just, listen, I asked the questions. I just didn't know how they was relevant. And you said you had some, just kind of,
Yeah, it's just-
Yeah,
Kevin,
and I actually,
go into yours.
trying to remember, one of your earlier questions, Nicole, about the.
thank you,
where it-
sir, for your
Where it
time.
drains. If I remember looking at the plans that were provided, everything drains to a pond that's over here. There's a pond that they have in their property, if I remember right.
It's
over
camp,
here.
yeah, it's down in the middle.
It's down right
portion.
here.
Yeah.
And
Nope,
then
it's up.
everything kind of comes down this way to that pond.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was,
The
that's
reason
what
why I
remember.
asked that question is because we're splitting it in three, and so is each one going to have a separate?
Each one
that
has
was
its own.
relevant to what
The
we're
plan show
talking
like
about
there's
today.
different sets of pipes that all connect together and they all kind of get back to that. If I remember it, that's where it goes into that pond.
Well,
It was one of those drawings, I thought it was in there. It had a bunch of green lines in there showing the drainage pipes.
I have it big here because I can't look behind me. But are you referring it to this one?
No.
Put it in front of the camera there. I I know there's like 12,000.
Here, this one.
Okay,
See all the green lines here?
gotcha.
They all get
So,
onto here, and then this kind of goes down into here to that pond.
and so when all three plots are separated, all of them are still going to that spot?
Yeah, these don't,
Okay.
this shows it, this should all come through here, where I read, this doesn't have that on here.
Right,
but
right, because that one's not. But that was my question, because I wanted to understand, again, because we're discussing the separation of these three plats, how that was mapped out. So thank you for
Right,
the
I think
clarification.
that's what I remember from the last time.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
No, I
Okay.
had that as well, so I'm glad we got that cleared. Okay.
All right.
All right, Kevin, if you could go on to.
Okay, Brad, you have the other one? Are you making flip these around? And just to clarify, we did talk earlier, and I did send these comments to the applicant and everything, so we've kind of gone through them. And they'll take care of all these, I just want to at least bring it up for everyone's
you.
benefit here. So for this one, where Turkey Farm ties into Citrus Grove during the construction phase, now that we have more development, I see more and more people using that trail. I just don't see anything about how we're maintaining the trail, how people can still use the trail. So that's just something in construction that we need to have some kind of a way to allow people to get through. Because right now, the way they have it saw cut and they have a curb removed, we need to have some kind of provisions for pedestrians and bus. Because, there's a lot of people that use it.
Yes.
I've used those areas too. I ride my bike down to Publix and get stuff, so it kind of makes it easy. On this one here, this is what shows the blow up of the intersection of Turkey Farm and Citrus Grove that shows you how all the big trucks that kind of turn in and out. I just like to see the other two movements, coming in from 27, turning left into it, turning right out of it, to see how everything reacts to each other. The other thing is what I had shown in the blue circle there is an area where the trucks has to go into the opposing lane to actually turn in without having to run over the curb. But they're going to fix that. They'll just bring the gore down to make it wider in there, so that way there's not a vehicle sitting there while another truck's trying to turn in. That's all. Because, if you get a couple of trucks that are waiting to turn out, that you'll get that, and then if the truck turns in, they can't really go in without running over the curb and damaging it. So.
Yeah, I was going to say, because these are some of the concerns you had at the last time. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
just
everything's
to
gonna be-
just really take a look at that and just fix that. It's just a simple striping change. It's very cheap and inexpensive. And then they talked about this. There's going to be a three-way stop, so that was one thing. I just didn't notice any stop signs there. And then in the roundabout that's on the western end of the project, just some striping changes that need to be fixed there and some signage. That's one of the minor things. This is just a clarification. We have a note in the plans that shows billboards are prohibited, but yet we have a billboard area, but that note's going to get removed out of the plans to allow the billboard spot to be there. Just one conflicted with the other, just a cleanup thing, very, very, very minor. And that's it until Agenda 5. So.
I have one more clarification question, if that's
Yes,
okay. This is for you, Mr. Castile. I just want to understand what the motivation is behind wanting to separate these three into, just so that the public understands what the motivation is and why.
Yeah, so right now, we currently own 2 of the 3 lots, the Phase 1A and 1B of the 3. The intent and what we would like to do is eventually buy the 3rd one and develop all as one master park. But in the event that we did not buy that 3rd lot, we want to ensure that the owners of that 3rd lot, either today's owners or future owners, are protected and have the ability to develop their lot in the future, or have access to utilities, have access to the city streets back on Turkey Farm Road. And so what this does is there's already a master agreement that's been recorded in place that has all the easements. To answer your question, the shared detention ponds and drainage plan is a master agreement between all 3 property owners, and that's already been agreed to and recorded. And so this is just, by separating these, it ensures that each of those property owners will have access to public utilities, public access, et cetera, shared detention, that sort of thing. So it's just to kind of clean up what we've already done, which is we went in and bought 2 of the 3 pieces, and this kind of separates it officially into 3.
Thank you for clarification.
All right, is there anyone else from the audience that would like to come up and speak on this item? Sorry.
Did you have any questions?
all my questions were answered between Kevin and you.
All right, awesome.
Yep, that's why I was moving on to public. If there's anybody else that wants to talk about it before we bring it back to the commission? Nope.
Because I would be comfortable with recommending approval with consideration to evaluate opportunities for natural buffering between the plats, coordination with adjacent parcels where it's feasible. Yeah, that's and then obviously adding in staff recommendations as well.
So your motion is done. So we have so that's our motion. Do I have a second on that?
Second.
I have a first and second. All in favor of this, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, which none. Motion approved. Moving on to our item 4. Do you want to do 4, 5, and 6?
I was just gonna ask, sure.
Yep.
Okay, Ordinance 2026-2 is for consideration to request to approve annexation and rezoning of 2 parcels generally located west of North Hancock Road and north and south of Citrus Grove Road to PUD. Ordinance 2026-3 is to consider a request to approve a comprehensive plan amendment for 17.878 acres generally located west of North Hancock Road and north and south of Citrus Grove Road to general commercial. And finally, we have Resolution 2026-01, and this is for consideration of a request to approve a development agreement for the same 17.878 acres generally located west of North Hancock Road and north and south of Citrus Grove Road for a commercial PUD.
All right, good evening again. For the record, Eric Roche with Inspire, here in my capacity as a contract planner to the city. As mentioned by Ms. Koch, this is items 4 to 6, which is the Citrus Ridge Commercial Annexation PUD, Future Land Use Map Amendment, and Development Agreement. I'll speak about the location of the property. I'll run through the current future land use and zoning that's on the property today, and then I'll get into each of the individual requests, and then I'll conclude with some outstanding issues. I believe the applicant has a presentation as well to cover some of those items. So this one's east of Grassy Lake Road and west of North Hancock Road. This map should look very familiar. The project that you just evaluated is immediately to the east. It's bisected by Citrus Grove Road, and it's 17.74 acres in size. It's composed of 3 parcels. 2 of the properties are currently in unincorporated Lake County, and they enjoy an urban low designation. That's 15.72 acres. And then 1 property is within the city as a mixed-use residential development. Designations within the overlook, it's 2.02 acres. In terms of the zoning, the Lake County portion is currently zoned ag. In the city piece, as mentioned, is PUD, was originally zoned with the overlook at Grassy Lake project. So the request here is to annex the 15.72 acres in from Lake County into the city, do a comprehensive plan amendment, a PUD rezoning, and a development agreement. The development program outlined would be up to 850,029 square feet of commercial. I'll note that the applicant's concept plan shows significantly less development than that, so that would just be the max. Parcel C, which is the property to the south of Citrus Grove Road, is proposed to remain as a stormwater pond that's 3.83 acres in size. Here are the 2 properties that are proposed to be annexed, the 15.72 acres. You can see both on the north and south of Citrus Grove Road. And this is the future land use map amendment. It would all go to city commercial, so removing that urban low designation in Lake County and redesignate everything to commercial within the city. The development agreement has been provided as part of your backup. It outlines the policies applicable to the development of the property. There's a master development conceptual site plan that would be part of the exhibits. It does represent an increase in commercial development for the property. And as shown on the plan. Roughly 7 to 8 commercial light industrial users are being proposed. We had no comments on the annexation, but in terms of the PUD and comp plan amendment, we did have 10 comments and deviations from the city's land development code. The first is a property sale agreement for the small property within the city. We'll certainly defer to the city attorney's office on that. Traffic study approval. We received comments from our traffic sub-consultant on Friday, and those have been provided to the applicant, and they've promised to address those prior to any action by council. That includes the access point from Citrus Grove Road, which is under Lake County's jurisdiction. We just want to confirm that that's a good access point for the county. Turkey Farm Road access coordination. As you could tell, Turkey Farm Road runs on the north side of this property, and that'll be evaluated at the time of site plan. Open space, their plan just needs to be cleaned up. I believe they can meet the requirement, but they're showing a 10% open space requirement where code is 20%, so that needs to be addressed. Percentage of light industrial uses was included in their comment response letter, but we've asked them to add that to the plan, so that shouldn't be an issue to address. And then we're just awaiting a response, a confirmation from Public Works and Engineering regarding public facilities. The development agreement, we had a bit of additional comments. They are requesting to deviate from the city's architectural requirements, so they want to count only the facades facing Citrus Grove Road as primary facades. Under the city's code currently, all out parcel facades are considered to be primary facades, so they require additional architectural treatment. They want to allow corrugated metal panels on certain buildings. They want to allow the use of fluorescent colors as trim accents, and I think they can probably speak to that a little bit better than I can. They want additional height for the mini storage, so that would be up to 42 feet. They've proposed some special exceptions to be allowed by right with no additional process. Typically, when we get an application for a special exception, we evaluate it based on the criteria in the code. We go into compatibility measures and things like that at the time of application. They've requested for the gas station to have 2 outdoor ice merchandisers and a propane cage. They'd like to have the ability to prepay impact fees and reserve capacity. I've talked to the applicant about this. I think there's a cleanup to the language that could get us comfortable with this provision. They like relief on grading and retaining wall heights. They want to allow for Florida-friendly landscaping and approve it in addition to the landscaping on the city's approved list. As you know, the city's landscape code has not been updated to include Florida-friendly standards. They want to provide stormwater either on or off-site. They've got some deviations from signage requirements, and they're reducing the parking for the mini storage and looking to go with the ITE standards in lieu of the city's code. They've asked to have the ability to reduce parking at the site plan with no separate variance. I believe they're going to remove that. They've asked to provide bike parking in one parcel only, so it wouldn't be spread throughout the site. So I believe they're going to request to remove that this evening as well and just go with code. And then they've finally requested to allow 12 uninterrupted parking spaces in a row instead of the city code of 8 without having a landscape island. So just want to outline all of the differences between what's proposed in the agreement versus code. And ultimately, these are going to be policy decisions for this body and ultimately the city council. So with that, I'm here for any questions, and I believe the applicant team has a short presentation as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry. Oh, my goodness.
Good evening, Tara Tedrow, Lowndes Law, 215 North Yola Drive, Orlando, Florida, here on behalf of the applicant. Do I have to tell you to change every slide? Oh, okay. I'd say that was going to feel obnoxious otherwise. All right. So I don't want to repeat a lot of what you heard in the presentation by Eric, but this is just an orientation of the property. Aerials don't do a lot of justice because our neighbors next door who were just before us on the agenda already have buildings going up on that property, so Google Earth can't quite keep up with what's going on in Minneola. But this is a 17.76 acre site. Takes about 1 minute to get to the turnpike from this property, surrounded by a mix of projects that are already entitled, built, or under construction. So just to show you an overlay of some of the surrounding projects, this is everything that are all PUDs around us. Your code says if you have a property that you want to have as a PUD, it has to be a minimum of 5 acres. And PUDs under your code are designed to take into consideration flexibility and planning. It's the whole purpose of a PUD. So PUDs are not just you comply with the B1 code in every respect, because you would just rezone to B1 if it made sense for the site, the layout of the site, and the topography. This site is unique in terms of the shape of it. So if you've driven by, you'll see that part of the site that we are looking to acquire from the city under a separate contract has a transformer smack dab in the middle of it. We already have an existing cut off of Citrus Grove that's actually county owned. So if you've ever driven by and you see that driveway access into the property, that's there today. The property is in Lake County, so we need to annex it into the city, but it just makes a lot of sense to have it as a commercial tract. One of the things that doesn't make sense for most local governments when they do commercial projects is to have cars driving really far off of a turnpike or a highway to get to amenities like a small coffee drive-through or a gas station. The last thing you want is to be putting that traffic through residential neighborhoods. So we have a site that's great because we're next to entitled industrial. So we'll have 1.4 million square feet of industrial with 75-foot buildings options next to us. So how do you transition from there across Citrus Grove to where you have an entitled and built-out PUD at Grassy Lake? That also has some commercial entitlements. If you've seen at that intersection of Grassy Lake Road, an Ace Hardware is going there and medical office is going there on the corner. So we're not as proximate to residential as, for example, those uses on the other side. Those uses are actually only about 30 feet from residential. So we're separated by a 4-lane county road with our frontage of our property. There is a site, part of our property does have about a 3.8 acre parcel on the other side of Citrus Grove that we're not building on. So if there's any residents who live next to that piece of the property, I'll go back here. If you can see, it's the number 3 on the other side of Citrus Grove by itself. We're not developing that site. We have no plans to develop that site. So that site would not be able to be developed in the future, short of some major change that would require going before the city and redoing everything, but that's not what we're doing, so we're happy to take that off the table as part of the PUD, that site's not going to ever be developed. So the property is really just being developed on one side of Citrus where there's already contemplated existing access, where we'll now have a 3-lane road being built out behind us by our neighbors, strategic real estate partners. That 3-lane road will provide access to our project in what most people know as Founders Ridge, which I think was renamed to Citrus Grove. Too many Citrus PUDs, but I think there's a Citrus Grove. We're calling ours Citrus Ridge. Doesn't do much to not have a tongue twister on that. But so, and that shows you again in the plans above us, and they have industrial right next to us too. So if we're just looking page north, right on the other side of Turkey Farm is more industrial. So this site is surrounded by these heavier industrial uses, and we're trying to transition down to something that makes more sense. That's a neighborhood scale, right? The highest height that we're asking for, we put in our PUD agreement that it has to be at the rear of the property, so not fronting Citrus. So if we were to have something that was 3 stories, it couldn't be directly along Citrus, but it would be across Turkey Farm to 75-foot buildings. So it's stepping down those heights. So you would go from 75-foot buildings to potentially an end user that could be 42 feet down to maximum of 35 feet of height, which is allowed anywhere for your commercial users. We're abiding by basically all of the B1 except for what Eric showed you on the screen. I know it might seem like those are a lot of deviations, but in the world of a PUD, really you're supposed to just be bringing it to say, let's look at this project, let's look at its location, let's look at what's around it, and the topographical challenges. Minneola is amazing because of the hills, period. If you drive around this city, I don't think you can see any more incredible viewscapes than you can just going up towards the Advent Hospital. There's a hell of a lot of retaining walls over there, but it's kind of beautiful the way that it's structured, right? And so we try to take advantage of that topography, but some of the things we have to ask for in a PUD is retaining wall flexibility, so we can stack those walls like you see on other sites around. And all the PUDs around us have this same language. I know because we requested it for Hill City Center, Advent Health has it, I think the Richland projects next to us have it, Strategic has it, just to give some flexibility that, for example, if you have retaining walls, they can be tiered 6-foot walls in order for us to deal with some of the sloping on our site. One of the other things that the code very specifically says about a PUD is that they are intended to take advantage and to try to look at what a topographical challenge or shape challenges might be of your property. So we have a bit of an odd configuration of our property, and the topo is pretty severe. It is a change of about 40 feet of fall on the site itself. Not that big of a width on the site, the dimensions, but it's a lot of fall across our property. So we've come up with a concept plan, which by the way is not required. So at this stage, all we had to do was a master development plan, and I'll show you the difference between those. This just again gives you the context of how we're surrounded by a lot of those entitled and existing PUDs in the city. You heard the requests from Eric, so I won't go over those. This is the master development plan. Obviously not expecting anyone to read the fine details on the site data table, but I show you this because this is what the city requires you to submit. That's it. So we wanted to lay out what we thought might be a typical type of actual development. It's the same reason that we submitted 2 sets of traffic impact analysis reports, because one is the maximum build out. Both of them, by the way, conclude that there would be an adequate level of service at maximum build out, but we wanted to show what's the worst case scenario. Your code for B1, so not even under a PUD, allows a 1.1 FAR. That 1.1 is where you get the crazy number of like 800,000 square feet. There is no literal way that that can be built on this project site. I think the most you could get might be 140,000, and that's if you did a building that was 3 stories, because you're picking up some of that square footage going vertical rather than everything being horizontal. But we wanted to show what a layout could look like of having a couple users fronting on Citrus Grove, maybe a user in the back, what type of use that would be if you laid out some buildings, showing some smaller buildings on the frontage. We have a lot of tenants who are very interested in this site. Minneola has an amazing amount of residential units. It does not have enough commercial restaurant options, some retail options, a dentist office, or, a doctor's office, a small retail store. We could have a 950 square foot drive-through coffee. That's one of the reasons we asked for something like fluorescent colors to be allowed, because some of these national brand standards say, for example, we have to have some banding with a little color to show what coffee shop we are. And the colors under your code are also quite limited. The city code right now only allows earth tones, which are going to have a very one-dimensional city if everything is just earth tones, but it also says things like gray are not permitted primary colors. Well, that would take out the entire crooked can building. Corrugated metal was also the crooked can building material. That would take out that entire building if we didn't get some flexibility on things like that. So we do know that, again, that one coffee concept that we're looking to bring in has some orange and yellow banding and a blue building, a darker blue building, and it's smaller and has some corrugated metal panels on it. So we were really just trying to be fully transparent in giving all of this detail. We knew it would probably bring up more questions, but we also just wanted to say, this is what we're looking to do on the site. This is how this might realistically lay out. This is how we have already laid it out with our engineer to get our end users under LOIs and under contract, so that we can try to bring to market some appropriate commercial uses that have great proximity on the turnpike and that are only taking people onto Minneola's roads. And I know some of them are county owned, but let's just talk about Minneola's roads because this is the city, that are only going to put us on our roads for a minute, 2 minutes to get on and off, rather than pulling, say a gas station goes there, rather than pulling all the way to where the racetrack or Circle K is down Hancock. That's 6 minutes you drive to get back and forth. That's cars that are coming off that are clogging up the roads, when in reality you can have faster accessibility in a more appropriate commercial site. So that was the genesis of why, when we saw this property, we thought, gosh, that would be great for having some of these smaller commercial uses. When we went to lay it out, we were trying to work with the topography, we were trying to work with the end users that we had, and that's why we laid out a development agreement that did ask for some changes. Eric and I talked today. Some of the issues were cleanup, mistakes, open space number should have been 20%. We exceed that number anyway with what we're going to have in our preserved track across Citrus Grove. But some of those, again, are cleanup items that we are happy to make as conditions to know that those will get resolved, just kind of Scrivener's errors before City Council. But if there are specific questions on what we have proposed or anything in the development agreement, more than happy. I understand we'll have 3 separate votes at the end, so we're kind of putting the annexation, comp plan amendment, and rezone all together for the ease of discussion, but I'm happy to answer questions on any of those items.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, commissioners. Going right to left, Commissioner Martin?
I personally would like to hear from the residents before I ask my questions, if that's okay.
Yeah, we can do that.
Sure.
If anybody from the public would like to come up and ask any questions on this topic, please come forward and state your name and address for the record, please. I'm gonna get a sip of water first.
Please excuse me, the pollen is kicking my butt. Heather Heaton, 589 Big Pine Avenue, Minneola, Florida, 34715. I had a few comments and a few questions. First of all, thank you, Ms. Tedrow. I will warn you that if you are not on our local social media, for some reason the words mattress store and dentist office are trigger words, so I would stay away from those if I were you. I love the idea of the Florida-friendly landscaping. I think we should have a lot more flexibility for people who want to put in our native species. I love the idea of reduced parking. I see empty lots everywhere, and I don't want to have so much ground cover for no purpose. And if these are businesses that are truly going to be for the Minneola residents, many people want to walk, bike, or scooter to these things. So I think the reduced parking is definitely something that can be considered. I would like to see multiple bicycle parking stations throughout for that reason, but I am unclear on the comment that some of these things were going to be removed from the developer's list, so that may already be addressed. My main concern is trying to understand the reduced grading requirements. What changes are precisely being asked for? Are we flattening the grade? Are the changes going to negatively affect stormwater for neighbors? Are we going to have eroding retaining walls like the one by the McDonald's and the Starbucks off of Hancock after the hurricane? Basically, I'm just trying to get a more technical understanding of what the grading changes are being asked for. So, thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else? Kevin, do you want to?
Ms. Tetra, can you answer some of those if you don't mind?
Tara Tedrow again for the record. Appreciate the comment. I'll start at the top. With the Florida-friendly landscaping, y'all gotta update the code. We have to have Florida-friendly landscaping. I mean, yeah, so I ask for it just to make sure, because otherwise you're not allowed to do it, right? So we can't have Florida-friendly, Florida native and water-wise unless you specifically ask for a variance or deviation from what your code says today. So I think it makes a whole lot of sense. And I will say, Ms. Martin, I'm sure you'll bring this up. We spoke and she gave me some great advice on getting more detailed than just Florida-friendly. I didn't realize the different types of zones for landscaping that you can have that make the most sense based on soil conditions and things like that. So I believe you were gonna, when I give you my email, to send me some information so that we can have our engineer and our landscape architect look at that, especially for that 3.8 acre parcel we have across the street, so that we can try to do landscaping there that will meet some of those goals I think that both of us share. In terms of the reduction in parking, these are really small users so far. The one that we definitely want to reduce, the mini storage, say you have a mini storage building, the parking is crazy. The ITE manual, which is what's used nationally, would say you need like 10 parking spaces. I think your code says you would need like 60. I've never seen a self-storage building with that much parking. And it's just a waste, I mean, to have that much asphalt out there for absolutely no reason. We don't need that much of an impervious surface area if we don't have to. And so that was one of the things we looked at from a design perspective and just asked, hey, we have such small users, there's not a lot of parking required anywhere else, but it doesn't make any sense to just have to put a bunch of pavement over there if no one's gonna ever use that much parking. Can we default to what nationally all of the self-storage users are doing under the latest editions of the ITE manual, which was just updated this past fall? And that looks at national data all over as to what those types of uses actually have in their peak demands. And 10 is the max number that they have for how the calculation would pan out for us. So I agree, I think reduced parking makes a whole lot of sense. Sea of parking lots are a waste. Walkability, this project actually has the trail fronting right along our site, so it's great. We already have the ability for folks who want to take the trail. You know, those are those oversized sidewalks that can lead you right in, and for people who bike or run or do a lot more athletic things than I do, that would be a great opportunity for you to be able to get over there, and your code requires separate bicycle parking for each of the end users. So we would have that separate bicycle parking for all of those end users at the project to be sure anybody coming in is going to be able to have, you know, bicycle racks that are designed in accordance with your code and available for those users. And then the last question was about grading. So like I said, we have about 40 feet of fall, so the retaining walls are really just needed to basically hold up certain parts of the earth to make sure that you can have buildings and retention areas and the things that we need structurally to make a site physically lay out for development. So I heard there might have been some degradation of walls. We have a property owners association. This is actually a project site that my husband and I and a partner are doing the project together. So we have a vested interest in this being a very nice project, and we want it to look good. We'll be running the property owners association. You will get to yell at me if something goes wrong, and we aren't going anywhere because we have other developments like Hill City Center across the street that will be around here for decades. So, you know, we have a reputation that we want people to understand and know that we are true to our word and the things that we say we're going to do for our projects, and we want to have the best outcome. And our property owners association would be maintaining and ensuring that if there is anything structurally unsound with a retaining wall, that has to be repaired. I would also suggest calling code enforcement if you ever see something like that in town. I always feel weird. I'm sorry, I'm talking to you, but I'm like not talking to you. So I would call code enforcement if you see something like that. But for our project, yes, we would have those types of, the money would be set aside in reserves for us to be able to maintain internal roadways, any retaining walls, any shared stormwater lift stations, et cetera, that are on the project site. I think that answered it.
Anyone from want to come up and talk? Kevin, do you want to come up? Figured why we got that.
All right, Kevin Carey, 20237 Sugarloaf Mountain Road. Just for this one, just a few comments. In the document, it says, and like kind of more talking about the traffic impact analysis study. In the first page, it says that none of the planned new alignment roadway projects in the area were considered, which Citrus Grove Road is one of those that needs to be considered because it's being built right now, so maybe the study needs to be updated for that. The second one concerns the traffic volumes showing, and of course, this was all provided to Tara and the traffic engineer, so they were gonna, we kind of got together a couple days ago, so we didn't have time to get together and talk more about the comments, but they're gonna address all these, or look into these and kind of get back with me on this. Just some comments on it. The diagram on your upper left corner shows Scrub J as a 4-way intersection, which it's not, it's only a 3-way. The intersection of Turkey Farm Road is shown as a 3-way, it's a 4-way because there's a neighborhood across the street. That's one of the things the count does not include, or there was not a count done at Turkey Farm Road, which probably should have been done since there's a neighborhood across the street. I understand like before there really wasn't anything there, but there's a neighborhood now. We should have volumes coming out of that neighborhood. Those need to be considered in the study. And then all of the diagrams show all the volumes kind of turn 90 degrees the wrong way. So they're all kind of off, they're all off because they're showing it going a different direction. But one of the things that caught my eye is on the right side of your screen, we show the Scrub J Road intersection. it shows 505 vehicles going, I think this is westbound, at Scrub J, which there was an actual count, but then at the intersection before, which is at Turkey Farm Road, there's only 200. So somewhere 300 vehicles mysteriously appear out of nowhere and are at Scrub J. So I think something needs to be relooked at here because there's volumes that are kind of showing up that aren't supposed to be there. The other thing is in the back of the set, it talks about intersection volumes, but it says AM peak hour throughout. There's nothing about AM and PM. So just want to make clarification that we are looking at AM and PM, the two main peaks you look at in the study. In the appendices, there's just a misspelling there. We'll get that addressed. These documents that you look at here, these are from Synchro, which is one of the analysis programs we use to identify how an intersection is operating. This one's missing the neighborhood approach. It should be included now that it's there. That way you have a fuller picture of what you're doing or what's going on at the intersection. And then one of the items in the PUD analysis shows that the driveway coming out of the easternmost driveway coming out of the development shows it as a right in, right out, and that they've blocked off the full median up and make it directional in. But this shows it as a left out, left, right out. So there's a discrepancy between what's shown in one document versus what this document's showing. So just some consistency to make sure that we're all looking at the same thing when we're making our decisions on this one. And then lastly, the overall, so there was two studies, as Tara mentioned, there's two studies in there. One, which is just what the site does, and then what the site does plus the stuff around it. In there, it's missing all the items that are in the first report. There's no traffic volumes that show you what it looks like. There's no synchro analysis sheet showing you what the intersection is going to look like under full load from the industrial development plus these developments. I think that's important to look at when you're kind of reviewing this kind of a study, that they should look the same. They should both have it's the same type of study. They should both have the same amount of information in there so that we can get a clearer picture. But that was it. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. Is there any, sorry, Terry, you want to come up and?
I'm not even going to pretend like I can answer that. Eric, yeah. Yesterday, I talked to Eric about our changes, and I also talked to Kevin about his changes. So we talked yesterday when he sent those over, and I got those to our traffic engineer yesterday. And he said as part of responding to some of the cleanups from the city, that would get wrapped in to respond to those by city council as well. So all of those will be part of, and a condition I'm sure you guys would make is to address those items prior to city council's taking that final vote.
Okay. Thank you. Is there anybody else that would like to come up and speak before we bring it back to the board? Nope. All right, bringing it back to the board.
So I appreciated being able to communicate with the developer and their attorney prior to. I had some clarifying questions, and it was very helpful to me, so I did want to address that publicly. But I also have a few more since listening to everything tonight. So one of the things that I would like to say is that I appreciate the flexibility and the intention behind this PUD. I think that the way that it's laid out in front of us, I can tell that you're very intentional about certain ecological changes, and I myself appreciate that. And I know that the city does as well. I would like to talk specifically about that 3.8 acres. So right now, I know that you had said that your intention for that, I know it's stormwater, and your intention for that was to put native species on that. My main question would be if we can really clarify the language in the PUD about it being ecological. We had talked about this, so I did have to reach out to the county today. It is either the original, so it's zoned as agriculture, so all of the original ecological land use of this has long gone. So in this PUD, would you consider restoring this to the sandhill or scrub? Because it's we have to look at it, and county's taking a look and they'll let me know, but would you making sure that we add the language that as part of that we're restoring that natural ecological system to either sandhill or scrub, whatever they come back and say it is, and then turning around and, consider zoning that particular part of the parcel as conservation. So both things are being considered. With it being ag, a lot of the original soil is I can never pronounce this word. I'm going to spell it. XEORIC. And so that substrate has basically been trampled on. And so in restoring that, this is, kind of holding to your original intention, making sure that the ecological impact is restored. And so I think that we need to make sure that we're adding that language if this is something that it sounds like in this project it's really important to you to do, but specifically in that aspect. I think that the neighbors in that would appreciate it being zoned as conservation. They would also appreciate the benefits that it would have when we're restoring the fauna and the substrate and soil there. So is that something that we can make sure that we're adding into the language of, or would you be open to doing that?
Yeah, so on the first part about the zoning, I don't think we would need to technically rezone it. I think under the PUD, we could just designate. So
Right.
we could have it on
Beautiful.
the plan. And I had our engineer, I made a note of that before tonight, some things for cleanups on the plan. But one of those will be to have that tract designated.
As?
So that it will show that it's, not buildable conservation open space on the plan itself.
Okay.
So that would hopefully.
Right, as long as we're clarifying the language. And in addition to that, I want to make sure that we're adding the language that we're going to potentially restore, right? Because these words, that, sometimes everyone likes to pay us in words. So I want to make sure that those words that we're using, that you guys would be open to restoring it, because with it being ag, it's not that now.
Yeah, the part of it is a county has an easement on that.
Right.
So when we looked at developing it, the reason, we could make it a 3-acre out parcel tract for commercial, we would just have to vault our stormwater and retention, just an extra cost, but it's possible to develop that site. There's a county easement on there.
Right.
So whatever we do, we can't really, drainage easements can't necessarily have a bunch of flora and fauna in the bottom of them.
Right.
So I don't know about the extent of restoration. What I would ask is that you and I can connect
Yes.
prior to city council so I can understand
Yes.
what that commitment looks like, and then we can discuss it there would be great.
Okay, and
Just
like
to
I
have more
said,
time.
county has been contacted about this specifically because of that easement, so I was hoping that they would get back to me today. Thank goodness to the Planning and Zoning Department in Minneola. They had me in their office for 2 hours today, and they didn't get sick of me. So, the other clarification in the language for the PUD, I know that you had discussed, dark sky lighting and things like that. Can we clarify the language, cleaning up, making sure that you are utilizing the Dark Sky International Amendment, not Minneola's variation of dark sky, but we had talked about the Dark Sky International.
Yeah, so and I apologize because we talked yesterday, and I know you tried on Saturday to talk to us. So that would have given me one
it's
extra
okay.
day.
No, you're fine.
Yeah, I need to talk to get a photometric understanding of what exactly the differences are, and I'm sure
A lot.
no issue. Right, so I just need to talk to the city staff to find out what the dark sky standards are today and what that looks like for us, because the dark sky compliant lighting, I was told by our engineer that we would have all the lumen restrictions and spillover restrictions so that there wouldn't be any off-site impact. Certainly none across Citrus, but even if we're trying to talk about impact to our industrial neighbors or whatever else, it wouldn't as well. But that, if you don't mind, I would
Just clarify the language,
yeah, to
yes,
look at
I
that as well.
appreciate it. I do have a question about, in the staff notes, it said, okay, so it said that you were asking for to deviate from the architectural requirements. We did not speak about this. I wanted to know why. So why is it important to you that it's just the front and not all? What was the concept behind that?
Sure. So, and that came back to some of the national tenants that we were looking at. So one of the national tenants said, I have some corrugated metal panels, and we have some banding along our project buildings that have our colors, for our standard colors that we have to use for our advertising purposes, so you know what type of building you're looking at. And they're like, these don't fit with the city's code. The city doesn't allow those colors. As it relates to the facades, Those facade treatments all have to come back to city council.
Right.
So we wanted to have the flexibility that when we come in for site plan review, that the city council still has to evaluate and look at that, but we've already said, can we get some flexibility in considering all of those sides? Because some of the buildings are not gonna be necessarily oriented straight across, looking at Citrus Grove. Some might be angled that we've looked at.
Okay.
And so it's just the facade treatments were a little bit onerous on a very small types of buildings that we were looking at. That was the feedback we got from the tenants was, is there any flexibility we can get on this primary facade treatment? We obviously understand that there's no real back of house on our site, but is there any flexibility there? And it's still up to city council when we have to go before them for
Right,
that
right.
review.
And like
too.
I said, the main reason for me for asking this question was to get clarification
Yeah.
as to the why. So just to.
No, good question.
Yeah, just to recap, it's so that you have flexibility in the tenants who are interested currently in this lot. So I appreciate that. So we talked about the restoration, we talked about the, so the stormwater, just to clarify, so the stormwater discharge, how is the long-term maintenance going to be handled with this? Was that discussed?
That'd be the property owner association too. So
Okay.
we're
So
responsible
you guys
for all
will
of our
be,
private. That's
okay,
right.
so
Yes.
it's going to, you personally will be the one.
Yeah, well, it's under a property owners
Right, but-
association. The city requires you to create one of those for long-term
Gotcha.
maintenance. So they would be obligated, and there's a declaration of restrictive covenants that gets recorded against the property so that anybody who buys into the property in the future knows that they're going to have to pay a certain amount of money annually for common area maintenance charges. Those charges then get aggregated and put towards things like annual maintenance, repairs of if we had potholes in our, internal roads that lead to each of the parcels and things like that. Landscaping that's shared, those types of costs.
I believe all of my questions have now been answered.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Commissioner McCoy.
I don't have anything.
Okay, Commissioner Rose.
Sure. Tara, we go way back. I first met you and your husband out at Lake Minneola High School when you were first presenting for the Hills of Minneola. And so what I've seen over the years is that there's a lot of bobbing and weaving to try and get something done here. My take on it, first of all, is I don't want us as a city putting so many constraints on a developer that developers say Minneola isn't the place to build. With that said, as far as commercial, I've also been a proponent of the fact that Minneola does not have a bank. We do not have any sit-down restaurants other than Little Anthony's. And what I don't want to see with this project is a carbon copy of another project, like the woman in the green blouse had said. Not another nail salon, not another dentist, not another same. If you look at the median income of the city of Minneola, the cost of housing, I would venture to think that most of the residents want upscale boutiques, upscale restaurants. We don't need more White Castles and those types of things, because I've lived in Minneola since 2012, and there's none of that here. And we want upscale. We want places that we can go, bring our families to. To piggyback onto what I said earlier to the gentleman about the light industrial, that's a problem here in Minneola also, is there's no place for small commercial business to go or grow to, because you're either in 2,000 square feet or smaller, or you go to 15,000, 30,000 square feet. So when you mentioned the other building, I guess, behind the retail, I would like to see something like that as more of a small industrial, smaller commercial, not a Class A retail, so to speak. But I'm just glad that you came to P&Z without another subdivision to build and more infrastructure for us to utilize so our residents can stay in Minneola. So that's all I have on that.
And I appreciate those comments, and a lot of this development that we're doing, I'll tell you, the Hill City Center is a beast of a project, and I talked about this with Ms. Martin because she had some ideas for, hey, have you looked at this type of project called Crate over in Wesley Chapel? And it might be a really cool idea, allows you to have more local businesses and some nicer businesses, and not every project is going to be able to satisfy every need of the city. I think we're going to get really close with Hill City Center. I really do.
Well, I agree with that. I mean,
They
and
come back in 5 years, and I'll have bobbed and weaved some more because we got to respond to market conditions. But I told you we would do the Crooked Can, and we did the Crooked Can. You know, some of the things that we say we're going to do, we really do put all of our effort every day into making them come to fruition on these projects. Because again, I know I'm going to come here and somebody's going to point out something I might have said in another presentation. So I try to choose my words wisely because they will be held against me. I'm well aware of that. But on this project site and on the projects we're doing holistically, we're looking at what makes sense for the best spot, right? So if we were going to have a certain commercial end user, you know, it wouldn't make sense necessarily for Hill City Center, right? We wouldn't pull it over because it doesn't have the same exact proximity on the turnpike that may be for a gas station or something. You know, so we're looking at all of these holistically, even though we bring you small project pieces, we're balancing everything on the back end for us, even though you're not allowed to technically consider what we're doing over there, but we are, you know, looking at all of this and what the city needs. And I can't tell you the amount of tenant interest that we have in that project. The number of restaurants that want to come to this city because they simply do not exist. I mean, I've never seen such a lack of competition, frankly.
Correct.
You know, and Crooked Can will have 12 local vendors, you know, inside there for food. I mean, that out the gates is going to be an amazing opportunity for us to be able to have something local that is going to have a regional pull and puts Minneola on the map and creates a great family-friendly community gathering space. So we really do try to look at that for all these sites. I appreciate you bringing up kind of the desire on tenants because we want to do what responds to the market, but also responds to the needs and what residents tell us they like. I get a lot of emails from residents that tell us things they like and don't like, so you can keep them coming.
well, I do also understand, being an international business owner as well, I understand the importance of those national brands being able to have their brand recognized.
Yeah.
Because without that, you have no brand. So so I do understand the company that you're talking about. I know who that is just by the color scheme because I'm in that field. But I do think that that is important for brand recognition, and that is going to be important for franchises, national companies coming in and setting up shop.
Yeah.
So I do. We need to adjust colors where necessary.
yeah,
So
right.
thank you.
Okay, I got a couple questions. First, I know Eric brought it up, but what was the maximum intensity? It was 850, the square foot was 850 something?
Under your code for B1, if you just calculated on 17.76 acres, that would allow a little over 850,000 square feet. I don't think in the world's most intense scenario, you get more than like 140,000 square feet. Yeah.
And then, what do you, because that's your assurance pretty much that you
Well, yeah,
won't
but
be-
going vertical, right? So that's where like a 3-story building allows you to pick that up. I mean, if you just look at the site plan, you wouldn't be able to meet parking and any of the other stormwater or any other standards if you just put one behemoth 100,000 square feet of horizontal building on there. I mean, that's broken up between 6 buildings potentially, and that's again just a tenant mix that we looked at as kind of worst case scenario of size.
And that's kind of like we were talking about, like, not that we're saying that's going in, but like another storage unit coming in, you know, because there's one night down the street from there is what would make it want to have something like that again, or it's like you said, talking about.
Yep, and that's absolutely,
Differences.
that's a great question. You all have so many HOA communities around here. I mean, just so many. And in Sugarloaf, thousands more homes are coming that nobody wants people to put everything in their garage and then not park cars in their garage and then park the cars in the street and then clog up the street. You know, I mean, so if people don't have places to put stuff, and we all have way too much stuff, I mean, I do, storage units, right? So, I mean, and the nicer ones next to industrial, I mean, I think it makes a lot of sense if you have all these industrial uses right behind you, and the only place you can do it is stepping down from where 75-foot buildings are going to be, you know, and then you have a row of buildings in front on Citrus. So again, from a planning standpoint, that transition of uses makes a whole lot of sense. It's compatible with all the uses around it and serves a need. And again, that's if we get that deal finalized, but that's another tenant that we had looked at, and we just wanted to do it for full disclosure of the types of tenant mixes.
And that's what you were saying, like something like that would go in the rear.
The rear,
Sorry, my
that's
voice is kinda
restricted in the
leaving
PUD.
today too.
Yes.
Yeah, in the rear because of the height.
That's correct.
Okay, what other questions? I know a lot were already answered, that's why I kind of, might have been everything I think I had was left was those questions. And if there's nothing else from commissioners here, I guess then we are ready for motions.
Yeah, we could split them up.
Yep, yes, we have to.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tara.
Okay, so I'd like to make a motion for item number 4, ordinance 2026-2, Citrus Ridge Commercial PUD annexation and rezoning. I recommend approval for this. There's no special conditions for this particular one.
Second.
Sorry, I have to write my notes ahead of first. I have a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion approved.
Okay, I would like to move to agenda item number 5, ordinance 2026-3, Citrus Ridge Commercial PUD Comprehensive Plan Amendment. I would like to make a motion to approve this item with the staff recommendations as well as the recommendations from Mr. Kevin. And we talked about looking into the language for dark sky. We talked about adding the ecological land use, looking into verifying that for conservation as well as restoring, seeing if that is possible. So, consider updating the traffic study on there. I think that needs to be a condition as well.
Definitely.
And I think those are all the main ones, the 4 ones. So I would like, that's my motion.
All right, I have a first, do I have a second?
Oh,
It's Ken.
Bill got it.
Bill, okay, thank you. I have a first and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Motion approved. Going on to item number 6.
Yeah.
Motion.
Let me look at this one. So I'd like to make a motion for Resolution 2026-1, Citrus Road Commercial PUD Development Agreement. I would like to make a motion to approve with all stated conditions, staff recommendations, and other conditions that were named.
Second.
I have a first and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Motion approved. Okay, before we move on, sorry, just I think, item 7, can we get a 5-minute recess? Because I definitely need one.
Got it.
Do I have to make a motion for that?
Yes.
Or a
Motion.
Do you have to have a 5-minute recess?
Motion. Second.
Okay, so Bill made a first, and Bill a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
5-minute recess. Thank you. Sorry about that, but I definitely have to go. 2 weeks. Okay. Do I have to start it all over again? Like, do
Yep.
like, yeah.
Or do you?
I just call meeting to order again.
I've never had to stop it before, so this is new.
Listen, I'm not even mad about it. I said I wasn't even mad.
Check
I
1,
know.
2. Mic on, mic's on.
Mics are, yeah, they stay on. Okay. We're going to call the meeting back to order again. So if everyone would please either exit or sit down, I'd appreciate it. I would like to now, before we move on to 7, bring back up to item 2, since the applicant is here, even though we...
And I apologize, I didn't realize when I put her on the agenda that she was actually still with some of her clients, and that's what, I didn't realize that, or I wouldn't have put her first on the
Okay.
agenda, so.
All right, so if we can then, since if we're ready to go back to item 2,
So we have to undo that motion? Do we have to undo that motion?
We're going to take care of it now.
Okay. I was a little further away.
you're spreading out
I
further
know.
and further.
I'm
Come
trying
on,
to
Nicole,
get
bring it back.
organized. That last one, this is all from the last one. You have too many,
I know, that's why I got this little square over here.
all this
Okay,
paper.
anyways, back to item 2. Do you need to do anything?
I do not, but I was just, are you both going to speak tonight? I just,
Yes.
I know you came in late, so we swore everyone in earlier, so I'm just going to swear you in real quick if you're going to get up and speak. Just raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Yeah, I do. All right, thank you. You're set.
All right, don't say it yet. Wait, I think we're going to bring it.
Just had questions?
Yep.
Anna?
Welcome. So please state your names and address for the records.
My name is Mario de la Cruz.
Telma de la Cruz.
Address is 60D, 60 West D Center Street, Minneola.
All right. Commissioner Martin, do you want to start off the questions?
So I understand that this is an extension and you had asked for a variance the first time that you had did this. Is this going to be like final? Are you going to continue to build on this project, or is this like the extension?
Well,
Like, what's the long-term
hope it's
plan? I
not-
guess that's a
it's-
better.
I hope it's not final. We'd like to grow even more, but for now, yes, it is.
So there's a desire for more growth?
Yes.
Okay. My next question, this is a daycare, so it's, right, so it's pick up and drop off. How is the pickup and drop off gonna be managed to avoid congestion and conflicts with this expansion?
¿Cómo va a ser manejado el venir y el ir?
Can we have them?
Yeah, I was going to say, can somebody?
Okay,
Yeah, thank you.
in that area, she is all by herself, the business. But we have people picking up in different times. There's not everybody at once. Like, they start picking up at 3, 4, 5, and some at 6 o'clock.
So how does, I'm trying to understand how this works. So you're gonna do the extension, it's a daycare facility only. What would this extension provide for you as a business? Like, what would you be able to do with this?
Accommodate more participants. And do more
So there would be like activity spaces, is it like a playground? Like what are some, I don't know, I mean, adult daycare, do they have playgrounds? Like, what does that look like?
Okay. So when we get there, we do a lot of activities. So they give, breakfast. After that, we do like exercise, senior exercise, and we do a lot of game
Okay,
for movement.
Music.
And after that, we do like a lot of memory play in the
right,
table.
games, okay.
Yes, and then I bring people like a singer. People that they especially do play with to work with senior.
Okay.
Like Zumba for senior, Tai Chi for senior. We do a lot of activity there.
Okay.
Yeah, they only keep doing.
So this is gonna be like, give you more, like an extra building so that you can do,
more
accommodate that.
Yeah,
How many people do you accommodate currently?
Right now, the license is 22.
22. And so what would adding this expansion, how many people would you be able to accommodate then?
To the other side, or
Yes.
Yeah.
With the expansion.
like 30 more?
So it would be a total of about 52, or what, yeah, math, 52?
Yeah, maybe.
Come on.
So it would increase it by about 30?
30, yeah, it's like 50 for both sides. I mean.
Okay,
Both
total,
sides,
okay. And what licenses and things have you already gotten approved by the state? If this is, or is that not even, like, I guess my question is that, so in order for you to accommodate the extra 30, you have to get an additional license, yes? Has that license already been acquired? So we could approve this and then maybe they say no?
No, because the amount is I think this, I mean, the first time when I came, the amount was the fire department, I think, would give me the amount.
Okay, so okay, gotcha.
Yeah, because,
Okay.
and then ACA, they give me the license accordingly, the amount that they give.
Okay, so the license is approved based on the fire department standards?
The occupancy of the
Occupant, okay. Thank you for that clarification. Can you clarify where the required exterior cameras will be located and how are they going to be monitored?
Yeah, can I? Okay, yes, it's going to be monitored in our office, recording 24/7.
Okay,
And we're gonna have a camera right in front of the entrance and 5 to 6 cameras inside of the facilities.
so this is for safety for okay,
Yes.
okay. Those are my questions.
Okay. Some of mine too, but I'm going to go ahead and ask a couple, because that kind of mirror hers. Because when you increase the amount of residents, you obviously have to increase staffing, because most adult places or nurse home cares, how much more staffing will you be adding? Because they'll require parking all the whole time.
6 for 1.
It's 6 to 1, six nurses.
Participants.
6
1
participants to 1
per
staff? Okay.
Okay, all right. And are your our operations changing at all, or are they still staying the same? You're just adding?
Yeah, the operation's still the same. We just adding the space.
Okay. We answered that. We answered that. I think you answered everything else on her question. So why I look to see, Commissioner McCoy, you have any questions?
I'm good.
Commissioner Rose?
Just an odd question. I was the first tenant at 60C Center Street. How are you fitting 30 adults in that space? Because that is not a very large space.
We currently don't have 30.
But you're talking about adding 30 more
Yes.
by taking over Suite C. That's a lot
Exactly.
of bodies in that small space, so that's
Well-
my only concern.
Yeah, it'll allow us to add more participants, but currently, right now, with the space that we have, we only got like 14 participants.
Okay.
The max is 22?
Yes.
Okay.
So fire code sets your max then? Okay. I have no other questions.
I think the state also regulates you, don't they? Don't they regulate, the state tells you how many you're allowed to have also?
Based on square
You
footage,
have to
I
have a
would,
state license too, right?
No. So I think, the fire department is,
Right, but are you,
They
but
got
don't you have a state license too?
yeah, they change the.
Right, and they also set requirements too, right?
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
and they also have a BTR, business tax receipt in the city. So the BTR, the city clerk makes sure that all the licenses that are required by the state are also taken care of, so.
I have no other questions. Anybody else? We're all good?
No, I can make a motion to approve.
Okay,
We just
that's
need to
fine.
open up to the public.
Oh,
Oh, right.
everyone
Sorry.
left. I'm
I
sorry,
forgot
my
about the
bad.
public.
I
Sorry about that.
apologize.
Is there anyone from the public that would like to come and talk on this topic or add anything else? Nope. All right, bringing it back to the board for a motion. May I
Now
get a
I'd like to
motion?
make a
Yes,
motion to
thank you.
approve.
Nicole, what? Sorry.
I said I'd like to make a motion to approve as is. Thank you.
Motion to, okay. Do I have a first? Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a first and second. All in favor, say aye.
aye.
Motion carries.
Okay.
Okay, now.
Okay.
Moving on to item 7, golf carts. However, before we begin, I would like to clarify for the record that our previous discussion on golf cart was a discussion item only. No recommendation was requested of this board at that time. The discussion was intended to help identify considerations such as safety, connectivity, and implementation, since there is no current or not a defined framework in place. Our role is to ensure that when we make recommendation is based on a clear and workable framework for the city. I am not opposed to golf carts, but I want to make sure that we have a system that is safe, legally compliant, and clearly defined so residents understand where they can and cannot operate. With that, I would like to open up this for discussion, but I first want to to clarify a few key points so we understand what's being considered. Joyce, can you walk us through what roads would actually be eligible under state law and whether we currently have connected networking?
Can we let the
Joyce?
attorney
Oh,
read
sorry.
the ordinance?
Sorry,
No
That's okay.
problem.
before Joyce then.
Ordinance 2026-07, golf carts, is an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Minneola, Florida, amending Chapter 44 of the General Ordinances of the City of Minneola relating to motor vehicles and traffic, amending Article 1, amending Section 44-5 definitions, creating Section 44-6 golf cart and low-speed vehicle operation, providing for regulation of golf carts on public streets, private streets within homeowners associations, and roadways within community development districts, providing for signage requirement, providing for inclusion in the code of ordinances, providing for conflict, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date. Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry about
First
that.
of all,
Thanks.
the state statutes are very clear about requirements. So the state statutes would have to be met. The golf carts would have to be what the state statute requires with the seat belts, the mirrors, the different things like that. There's also speed limits that you can't be on roads with, so this would limit it. Basically, it would limit you to the neighborhoods. And again, that would be something the roads would have to be evaluated, what roads that would be safe to use for these golf carts. Then they would have to, most of the roads are HOA roads, not all of them, but most of them are HOAs. So in the case of that, the HOA would have to approve that. The signage would, the HOA would be responsible for paying for the signage to be put up on the designated roads that are allowed. The roads, like I said, the roads have to be evaluated to which ones could be used. They would have to be designated, not only a golf cart road, but also where the golf carts can no longer end of golf cart use. Those signs would also have to be posted so people would be very clear where they could and could not. Part of the, maybe the thinking with this is the fact that people might want to use the golf carts to go to their amenity centers, basically, instead of having to drive. So that but it would be up to the HOAs or CDDs. Sugarloaf and Founders, sorry, there's a bug. Citrus Grove, they're run by a CDD, and the roads are maintained by the CDD. So the HOA and the CDD would also have to approve the use of the golf cart. So that this ordinance provides the guidelines for if they are used, where they can be used.
Right.
And
so
again, it would have to be an evaluation of the roads before they could even be designated as a golf cart road.
And that's why I want to make, because we have the certain roads, even the roads down here around Main Street, things like that, those would be possible roads.
Possible, but they'd have to be evaluated and marked.
Okay.
And again, there's also restrictions with the golf cart use itself, not just the roads,
Right.
but the
Right.
use. You know, you have to have licensed drivers, so there'd be no kids, young teenagers that do not have a driver's license driving these things. Children would need to wear, everyone, the riders need to have seat belts on, safety things, so just.
Good, okay. All right, now, based on that, I'd like to hear from our commissioners, particularly, and whether we feel comfortable making this recommendation. So Commissioner Rose, I'd start with you.
Well, before I make a recommendation, first of all, the Florida code you're referring to is 316-212, which is Florida's statute regarding golf carts on public roadways. That clearly states what is required of those golf carts. Secondly, in just looking at our ordinance here, I've noticed that the golf cart is not to exceed 20 miles an hour. Most new golf carts exceed 25 miles an hour as standard. So already this ordinance technically isn't correct. The other thing to keep in mind is golf carts can only be driven on roadways that have a speed limit of 30 miles an hour or less. Additionally, a golf cart should be licensed and insured and registered under an LSV, a low-speed vehicle, for obvious reasons. I personally had a golf cart that was registered that way because if, God forbid, somebody hit me or I hit somebody, it was insured, it was registered, and it was approved by the DOT to be taken on a public road. With that said, I know there are concerns about Crooked Can having golf cart spaces. There is no way to get to Crooked Can by golf cart, period. The only way to get there would be if the county built golf cart paths to get there. So you can forget taking your golf cart anywhere like that there's no way to get there. North Hancock is a 45-mile-an-hour speed limit, and you cannot take them on any bike paths or sidewalks. So that eliminates the whole golf cart idea for Minneola until Minneola builds a downtown much like the city of Claremont has or the city of Winter Garden has, where there are designated roadways. Like Joyce said, the HOAs can set their own guidelines for golf carts. But again, if the golf cart is licensed, registered, and insured, the HOA has no say on it, from what I understand, because it is a registered vehicle that can be on a low-speed road. That's what I've got.
So I think the thing that we're missing here is that this is asking to add an ordinance because we don't have an ordinance in the code, right? And I understand that there are some language things that need to be cleaned up in the ordinance. I do agree with you on that. However, I think one of the things, and this is, I came today, and spoke with planning and zoning. I also came to Public Works because I wanted clarity on this and understood how these things worked a little bit better. And it is my understanding that when we're putting the ordinance in place, just like anything else, what ends up happening is that the developer then, just like they're maintaining the roads, would then be able to develop a golf cart road or whatever, a specific path, but that would be the developer's
Correct.
Responsibility. And so this specific ordinance is putting it in place so that developers can do that, because right now they can't. So I think that, we have to kind of understand that what we're doing is we're giving recommendations so that this can happen. And we're reviewing the current ordinance because right now it's not in the code. And for everyone who always comes and complains, about our code, this is an opportunity that we're kind of taking and we're saying, look, we don't have this. Let's make the decisions. I also want to kind of clarify something because I personally didn't appreciate some of the comments that were made towards this board in regards to us being scared and not making decisions. I think that I would like to give every single one of us our flowers and give you your flowers, because I thought that the discussions that we've had on this currently, were taking into all the things consideration. And there's a lot of adjectives that I would use to describe each and one of us individually. Scared is not one of them, and I didn't appreciate that. So I want to be the one to say, thank you for being open to doing things, because I didn't appreciate that. So having said that, I also think that we need to look at this a little bit. I think maybe my question is, why is it rushed? Like, why are we having a discussion and pushing this ordinance? Why is there a reason that
It is.
feels?
It's rushed because many people, especially the residents of Del Webb, are concerned that they want to be able to use their golf carts to go shopping, to go to Crooked Can and any other services that are in the area. So not only them, but people in the local HOAs want to know if they can take their golf carts outside of their subdivisions.
But
And the
here's
answer is no, because there's nowhere to take them,
That's our major problem.
which is the major issue.
Because even if we change the ordinance, which we can easily do, or not easily do, but you know what I'm saying.
Right.
The connectivity. So yeah, so the future, we should have done that already.
Right.
Way back when all of this was thought out.
So now it's on the
Because we
responsibility
can-
of this board.
Right, right. And the connectivity, because again, if I brought this up last meeting, golf cart policies per near cities, and one of the, like Claremont, for example, they have this strong connectivity model.
Right.
And we don't, we have two major, we got Hancock and 27.
Right
They have
there,
a downtown, that's
So
the thing.
the
You're
one
right.
thing that we can say, I mean, it's just allowing, yeah, like we said, HOAs, but then HOAs will overrule, but do we allow it? And then we just set the precedence like we talked about with the seatbelts and mirrors and all that other stuff, but
So here's the other
And
thing, right?
futures.
If we allow this ordinance, and like and I don't know, Joyce, maybe you can clarify this. I don't know why we do this, but, you know, we allow this ordinance, and then we always kind of put it onto the developer, will you maintain this road, will you maintain this road? So we're gonna allow it, and then we're gonna hope that a developer comes in and creates a solution to our connectivity problem. I mean, like, I'm having a hard time, because I feel like that needs to be in the ordinance, like, I mean, so we're just gonna, okay, we're gonna put this, and then we're gonna create another problem that we're gonna have to have a discussion about, and then they're gonna be like, oh, well, that darn planning and zoning board, like, listen, y'all gonna stop blaming me for things, because we're trying to have these discussions now and think of it feasibly, but how is that being considered?
right, yeah, who's
If
gonna
I can-
keep this in force? Yeah.
If I can ask you, Jen, what is the purpose in putting an ordinance in that we're trying to adjust or override a state statute? Is it necessary for us to even do this, or should we just follow state statute?
We would still need to have our own ordinance to implement what the state statute allows us to do. But I think Mark has some more
Hi, Mark.
details.
Hey.
on
Building the
why
downtown.
we're here.
Most of the requests or complaints, if you will, are about those that would like to go to their clubhouses within their own neighborhood. Del Webb has a very nice clubhouse, the Hills of Minneola as well. And so there's a lot of people that would like to be able to do that. Some of them are already doing that.
Right.
But Mark, if I'm correct, when you have a community like Del Webb that is privately owned streets because it's owned by the community, can't the community just say, yes, you can drive your golf carts? Because I thought if it's a gated community, then the HOA can make that decision without any other municipality making that decision.
Well, they could still bring in off-duty deputies to enforce the traffic code within their own streets, within
Okay.
their publicly, within their privately owned streets. There are people that would love to go to Crooked Can. Right now, that's not possible, but there's going to be some housing development on the Crooked Can side as well. So those that live on that,
So they would have access easily, because they wouldn't have to cross over Hancock or drive down Hancock.
right. And
Yeah.
then some even, we have some that do have registered low-speed vehicles that take their kids to school. Over in Ardmore, they drive their kid over to Minneola Charter School. But in the Hills specifically, there's those that would like to drive their kids to school on their golf carts. And some of them are already doing that. So there is a lot of use within their own communities. Legally, they wouldn't still be able to go to Crooked Can, but
Right.
there's still a lot of use they'll be able to enjoy within their own area.
In the hills, you're talking about the school that's inside the hill over there? Okay.
So-
Say if they're not, they better not be on that.
So wouldn't it be better if the ordinance stated that in order to drive on any city or county road, it needs to be an LSV vehicle, properly registered and insured?
That's something this body could make the recommendation for, but I think there's a lot of, those aren't readily available. There's a pretty big process to get those done and compliant.
It's very easy.
Yeah.
I had to get mine done. I had to get a VIN number, pay for the registration, insurance. So it's a process like anything else if you want to do something legally.
Sure.
So, question, if we don't do that, doesn't the liability come back to the city if there's an accident then? If it's not,
It would
like,
probably be on the homeowner, allowing the cart uninsured on a road.
right, so that's what I'm trying to figure out. Where does the liability fall if it's not registered, if it doesn't have a VIN number and these people get into, what if they hit someone walking or if, you know what I mean, like the possibilities. Where does the liability stand if we don't require it to be registered and insured?
So if you caught the news today, there was a gentleman killed by a 14-year-old on an e-bike. He was run over and killed by the e-bike. The parent was brought up on, I think, manslaughter charges. Negligence, correct.
So how does this code like protect that? And this is, because it also in the code or in this new ordinance, it did mention motored vehicles. So would that also be e-bikes and things as well?
The legality of it all would be a better question for law enforcement or our city attorneys, but, you know, if they're in compliance with the code, it boils down to an investigation of the traffic crash and then who's at fault for that.
Right, but if nothing is insured or like how, who is like,
It's a problem.
right, that's what I'm saying. Like, we're not seeing that this is a problem, so we're gonna, like,
Well, I think like in my neighborhood, I'm at the reserve at Mineola, and I see children driving around golf carts, 4 and 5 children,
facts.
12
And
years
who's
old.
gonna hold that
Hanging off the
accountable?
bags down
Correct.
on the-
Yeah,
And that's a parental problem, though.
Right.
But
Yeah, but where's the enforcement? So,
Correct.
you know, you allow this in ordinance, okay, you guys gonna start enforcing it, adding a little department there?
That's
I
up
think
to
you're a
how the
little-
deputies decide to handle it, but they would be able to enforce any infractions that they, officer discretion, individual officer has a discretion on what to enforce or how to handle it, so it'd be down to the individual deputy or officer.
But that sounds like we also then need to start adding more officers into our budget then, because one, we're growing as it is, so we'd have to do that as it is. I've already heard about noise ordinances, complaints that are on that road, so now we're gonna have to add more just to monitor all these electronic.
Yeah, we're
other
always open
things.
to hiring more deputies. You know, it's the challenge of being able to find qualified deputies for
Right.
not just the sheriff's office, but all law enforcement agencies. They've maintained their strict standards and their hiring procedures. They haven't reduced those in order to bring more people in. So we would have more tomorrow if they could hire them, you know. Our contract allows them to add as they need to, or as they are able to.
You know, Mark, about 3 years ago, I brought that same conversation up about developer coming in, carts on, golf carts on the streets, and we kicked that can down the road, now here we are.
Yeah,
Okay.
it did. It was.
No solution.
All right,
All right, thank you guys.
thank you, Mark. So I'd like, if you guys wanna bring it open to the public, because it looks like somebody's anxious to get started. Or do you
Well-
have some more comments?
I
you wanna make
mean,
before we do?
I think we need to open up to the public so I can simmer down a minute with some of these.
hold on.
All right,
just
Nate, would you like to come up and speak?
Come on,
Please
Nate.
state your name and your address.
How did you know I wanted to speak?
I don't know.
You were getting closer.
Exactly,
You
you're
were pulling a
inching
Hear
me.
my
Closer,
boots
Yeah.
stomping?
Nate sells golf carts on the side of the road now.
Yeah, no.
I recognize the movement.
I know. And he's sitting there just going,
Put me in, coach, put me in.
Nathan Foch, 707 Blue Citrus Lane. I apologize, we talked about this last month, so I'm going to repeat a little bit of it. I actually read the ordinance instead of just saying no that I did last time. My biggest thing, I think, is where you were going towards the end. The state has rules. The state gets them insured and properly registered. I don't understand why we want to make a looser definition of the rules than what the state does. That if they're on the road, I don't want to run over with my truck someone in an unlicensed, unregistered golf cart that decided to cross the road, right? If they are not legal, they should not be on the road. I was going to bring up the example of the young boy on the e-bike. My youngest loves his e-bike and the MOG or Unimog or whatever, you know, he's got all the e-whatever that he runs. I make sure they're the ones that are inside the legal bounds, not the registered motorcycle class. Because literally those e-bikes now have to be registered as motorcycles. They're going fast enough now. So if we're going to do the ordinance, it's fine doing the ordinance, but the ordinance to me is follow state law. It would be literally one line, ditto state ordinance, you know, state statute, whatever. If they're not gonna follow that, they shouldn't be on the road. If you can't afford or don't wanna take the time to register, sorry, you don't get a golf cart.
I agree.
Sounds like a
Same
personal
reason you
problem.
don't get a car if you don't want to do it. But specifically in Joyce, I don't mean to disagree, and I'm hoping that maybe you can change this. In section F, where it mentions HOAs, and I'm also the HOA president for my neighborhood. I know a few of you have also been on your boards for the HOA. HOAs do not own the roads. We cannot enforce the roads unless it is a gated community that is maintaining their own road. And so I'm worried in F where it says HOA communities and private streets. I think that should be HOA communities with private streets.
Right.
Because I cannot tell you you can't put a golf cart on my road because I don't own that road.
Correct.
Right? So that is a distinction to me on these. I don't know about CDDs, but it's the same thing. If the CDD is maintaining the road, then they maybe have control. I have zero. If I did, my neighborhood would love it. They would have all kinds of new rules for me to try to enforce. But I don't think we can do it that way. And then it says HOA shall be responsible, and I wholeheartedly deny and say I will not do this, shall be responsible to install and maintain any signage within that community. That is not my problem, that is your problem. Just like street signs, speed limit signs, no parking signs, those are your signs, not my signs. Same thing with the posting of golf cart. If the state law and our ordinance says 35 miles an hour, anything under 35, I don't need signs in my neighborhood. Mine are 20 mile an hour. They would comply or they would not. I don't understand why we need to pepper golf cart signs. So I get this if we were Minneola or Claremont. I have a zone or Winter Garden where there's a zone we're going to stop, and I'm sorry, I'm over. You know, where we're going to stop where it's allowed. But if we're going to say all of Minneola is allowed to have these, if they're registered and it's under 35, why do we have to put signs all through the neighborhoods? Registration required, right? We mention here that it's registration required. That solves the answer. State law. Follow the state law. So I think this is a bad idea. I think if we make a rule that's going to allow for slacker regulations, slacker insurance, we're just setting ourselves up for liability when we said they could run an unregistered vehicle. Just yesterday, someone from Del Webb was running up the golf cart trail to look at the new construction when I was heading up to up to Eustis. So they're running on it now. If we're not going to enforce what we're doing now, how in the heck are we going to enforce even more complex laws? So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nate.
Thank you, Nate.
Is there anyone else that would like to come up and speak on this? Mr. Hernandez.
Ooh,
Welcome.
Don't typically come up. Eric Hernandez, 1692 Hamlin Ridge Road. Just one point of clarification, Ken, you can cross Hancock. Since it is a county road, you just can't traverse on Hancock. So you
You
just
can't
need
what?
county approval. That you could cross Hancock, but you can't traverse on Hancock.
Right.
You mean
So you just
go
need
into
county
another
Yeah, because it's
neighborhood?
4 lanes, so you're able to cross, but you can't.
Correct. So so your comment about Crooked Can, the only neighborhood that could legally use it at this point, how it's written, would be the Hills, so
Right.
long as they don't get onto Hancock. So, but to your point, every other neighborhood, including mine on Parkview, we can. So just want to clarify that point.
Thank you. Is there anyone else? Please come forward, state your name and address, please. And
I'm very short.
There you go.
Raquel Burgos, 2324 Treasure Hill Street, Minneola, the 34715. I don't really know too much about like the rules and whatever, but I know that in the hills right now, I've seen maybe like 2 golf carts in the neighborhood lately, and I also saw a golf cart actually going up Hancock.
I've seen them too, yes.
And I'm like, wow, they're on the Hancock Road where people walk, and I don't know if that's like, if the space is good enough for, I mean, it just makes a golf cart, I think, but safety-wise, we have problems right now with the kids with their e-bikes and their motor scooters right now, and that's very dangerous when they're not even complying. And again, the parental guidance is not there at all either. So when I saw that on the agenda, I was like, oh my gosh, that's not a good thing. I don't think so. So I do agree that it definitely needs to be very well spelled out, and the parents and people that want golf carts have to really know what is required, and how are you gonna enforce that, and be able to have the safety of everyone in consideration. I don't know how you will be able to handle that, but it is a concern for me. And technically, if you have communities that want, go to a clubhouse. If you have a car, I don't understand why you need a golf cart to go to the clubhouse, if everyone has cars available. So I see, what else do you need a golf cart within like the hills, you know? You wanna go to that the new high school or the clubhouse. To me, I don't understand. How is it any beneficial for people to make that extra, consideration when it's a lot more safety? Because the kid that I saw, it was a kid that was driving that golf cart. It wasn't even an adult. So without a seatbelt, and so it's very concerning to me.
Well, driving golf carts is fun, like a convertible or a sports car, and unfortunately, until somebody gets seriously injured or killed driving a golf cart on North Hancock,
I
then it'll be enforced more.
They were called golf carts because it's for, when you're playing golf,
Golf course.
golf courts, and it made sense to have golf carts in golf courts, right? Because it's a lot of distance and you want to enjoy that game, right? But I don't understand why it's something that it's allowed in the community when people don't follow rules. If people follow rules, then it would be a different story, but they don't, and that's a big concern for me in terms of safety.
Thank
I
you.
don't have little kids, but I do. I do care about everyone else.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
Come on over.
Come on down.
Hi there, John Hickman, 2206 Gold Dust Drive on the Hills, Minneola.
Can you, just a little bit, that,
Is that better?
thank
You
you.
may have to just hold it because I guess it's, you're good.
Bring it up.
I actually have a golf cart, and it is a legal LSV, so it is all registered and everything, and yes, we should follow that procedure. There really shouldn't be unregistered golf carts on the roads for that purpose, for safety, what she was saying. But it is fun to have a golf cart.
Absolutely.
What you said, if it's done properly. One of the comments that you made is that we don't have connectivity. It starts somewhere for the first time. I don't know what we need to do, but there is a tunnel in Dreamfinder side, Phase 5, that goes over to the Meritage side of the Turnpike. I understand the Turnpike says, no, we can't connect those, but that's the beginning of how we can do connectivity while keeping people off Hancock. So what do we need to do to change or petition so that we can leverage that tunnel to keep people off Hancock and to be able to use the community in a safe way?
All right, it's probably going to be the Turnpike Authority, really, to.
So we got slapped on our hands by county that said, no, that tunnel is not to be, and we have all talked about it, that tunnel is not to be used for vehicles, and that's not a us decision. Now, I understand that you're saying, what do we do? Who do we petition? How can we?
Yes.
Yeah. The thing is that there's, and this is what we were talking about in our discussion last time, is that so first it has to be addressed with DOT, then it has to be addressed county, and it has to be addressed with the state. Like could it happen?
It starts
Sure.
somewhere. That connectivity has to
Right.
start somewhere.
100% understood. Could it happen? Is that something this board can do? That's not a us thing, right? What we do is we look at all of these things, we give recommendations for how it applies in the city. As far as that goes, every time that has been asked, because many people have asked about those tunnels, it's always been pushed back as not an option, right? Not an option. And and Joyce, correct me if I'm wrong, there's a lot of documents that have been back and forth, and I'm sure, Mark, you can talk on this too, as the why it's not an option. So if you would like to come in and make a meeting with the city manager and Joyce to see what they've done, I'm sure that they would oblige sitting down with you. If you want to contact the city, you'll have a stack of papers like this. You're more than welcome to do that. And
Start somewhere.
yeah,
Right,
100,
you're right.
yeah, completely. But again, that's not something that this board can do. And so when we're bringing this up, we're looking at it as, right now, can we safely and humanely and in integrity, approve something, an ordinance that's written like this? And those are the questions, and that's the frustration that you're hearing from us, right? Not to say that it can't happen in the future, but if you want to go ahead and be the one to take the flagpole to those places, I'm with it.
I'd be
I
happy
support
to.
you.
I just need guidance on doing that. 'cause
Right.
This is fairly new, so who could I speak
Right.
with to help with that?
You can, start with the city, and Mark's like, please do not send any more people to my office. Don't send any more people to my office. But
back there.
listen, but that's where you start. I mean, you have to start with understanding what have they done, what's been considered, what conversations, and unfortunately for Mark, he's the one who's been here the longest, so that's where the conversations are gonna start, and you go from there. So if that's what you're looking for, we can give great advice.
Yep, absolutely. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Just everybody who speaks, we are glad to have you speak. Would you just please, as well as when you introduce yourself, would you also sign on the sign-in sheet so we have a record of your name and address? Thank you.
Next.
Yeah. Is there anybody else from the audience that would like to talk? Oh, all right. I'm going to bring it back up to the board then. Is there any motion that we want
I
to
have
do?
notes
A
first.
recommendation? You what?
I got some notes first.
Okay,
I got
let's
just
go. Go.
since that we've done. Okay, so and this is before we make the recommendation. I want to ask your guys' opinion on this, and we can collectively come together if we're going to make some conditions or whatever. So here's the main thing. I think the biggest issue right now is that we're pushing to approve this ordinance, but there's no, we're not addressing the major safety issues. And I think that needs to be included into the ordinance. We need to address,
Oh, absolutely.
I think it's a non-negotiable to have the vehicles registered. I think that needs to be a non-negotiable on behalf of the city.
Absolutely.
The VIN numbers, the LS,
State register.
right, it non-negotiable. I also remember in the discussion last meeting, there was a lady named Jennifer. She was the event
Claremont.
planner. Okay.
Downtown.
Yes. So one of the things that she said that when this discussion came to Claremont, that Claremont required them, so they get it registered, and then they had to come to Claremont, and then they had to prove that it's registered, and then sign an additional
They
thing.
made them sign a waiver.
Right. And so I think that 100% that's something that I think council needs to consider, and that needs to be put in the ordinance, that waiver is required, because that waiver will say no one under the age, unlicensed, you know what I mean? That needs to be in there, that it's hey, you, not only did you register this, but you came to the city and said that you're not gonna let anyone in your household that is going to drive this. And so I think that for a liability, that needs to be included in the ordinance as well. I would even stretch it a little bit further and say that the ordinance should state something about a safety class that's required. The city can, organize with all of the extra time that we have, but organize a safety class that maybe goes quarterly, and anyone new to this program would have to attend the safety class before being allowed to drive it on the roads. Because we have county roads, because we have things, it would be specific to the Minneola roads, and in that safety class, it would say, these are the roads that you're allowed, these are the not, and it would, this way there would be absolutely no, I didn't know, right? I think that doing something like that would ensure the safety and protection of everyone on the roads and knowing the things. Those are my main three.
My main concern would be on the enforcement again, because
Right.
even though you're saying this, how So I go to drive it, how do you know I have this stuff? You know,
Right.
There's no, that goes back to the enforcement too. That's my only concern on that part.
And I think that having the waiver and those things signed is kind of like a, hey, you signed a piece of paper that says that you're gonna hold yourself accountable, because this comes back down to Mark's point. Like, you know, at the end of the day, when we're talking about enforcement, if we don't have, we don't have a Minneola Police Department, we put that to county. Now he's saying, okay, well, the problem is that there's not enough staffing. Okay, well then we're gonna add more influx. So that's fine. If that's out of our control, great. Then we need to create a framework that allows it to be in our control. And I think that that's what this ordinance acts as, is a framework. And so we need to make sure that the safety concerns of literally all of us and everyone who spoke is put into that framework. And I mean, how else do we do it if we can't counterbalance it with law enforcement?
I disagree 100%. There's no need for an ordinance. We have Florida statute. Follow statute, and that's it. Why are we trying to recreate something unnecessarily? You know, we can't enforce it. They're public roads. Just follow Florida statute. If they're not going to follow the law, there's nothing we can do to make them follow the law. Signing a waiver or giving safety classes is irrelevant.
Right.
Bottom line is, it's Florida statute. This is what you can and cannot do. Why? This is a waste of time and energy. That's my opinion.
Tell me how you really feel, Ken.
It is. It's a waste
Say it
of
with your
time and
whole
energy.
chest.
It makes no sense. It's like let's build an airport for spaceships because we may get spaceships. You know.
Well, and here's
There's no infrastructure. There is no way to get a golf cart around Minneola except within subdivisions, and that's it. It's just Florida statute. I don't know why it's more complicated than that.
State registered.
Correct. Well, that's what it says. State registered, insured, and all that.
Bringing it back around, so then do we want to come up with a recommendation, a motion of something to bring to the council?
That's the recommendation.
My recommendation is
Okay,
follow
I
state.
make this motion then.
I'd like
Well,
to make a motion to follow state regulations, period.
Nicole, were you gonna add something, or?
I think that, okay,
I don't want the legal responsibility
Right,
of us
right.
setting different types of rules and things for the residents of Minneola, and then it comes back on us. I'd rather just follow state statute.
I agree.
I still don't understand, and Eric, I hate to bring you up here again, but can you you already done, you was on the board that said we were scared, so we need a little clarification here to understand.
What was that, Eric?
No, but you were there, so I need to understand why is this being pushed right now? Like, what is the intention of why this ordinance is coming through and why it's being so heated on, like, there's a disconnect there.
So I think, again, for the record, Eric Hernandez, now I'm being asked of my counsel, so Eric Hernandez, Councilman Eric Hernandez, 1692 Hamlin Ridge Road. I think what's needed is a guidance from the P&Z, and a guidance could be exactly that. It could be a motion can be called to adhere to Florida statute, blah, 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 and that could be the code for Minneola. The only thing I would add is to cross county roads if granted permission to cross county roads. I think if you guys, just somebody make a motion to do that, I think we'll be good.
It didn't answer my question as to why.
No, it's for guidance. It's just one way or the other for this board to make a decision, whether that's to add. If you guys want to add something, to your point, like adding the safety courses and things like that, that's a direction. So if this board feels like that's necessary, then you could absolutely recommend that. Ultimately, at the end of the day, it's a guidance and direction. Like I said, I think what would be sufficient would be to adhere to Florida state statutes in order to adopt the same ordinance for Minneola. Any other questions?
Thank you.
No, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so, I don't like this one. I don't like this one because it feels like the pressure, I want to speak freely for a second. I don't like this one because it feels like the pressure is putting on us because it is an election year. And I think that was the comment that was stated in the city council meeting. And that's why I feel like you're putting us in a position because you're asking for a framework in our recommendation, but you're really asking because you want to know one way or another. And that doesn't feel right for me. Like, it's hard. I don't know, like it feels like all of a sudden we're doing this and there's all this pressure and we need to do this when we have been operating like this and this statute from the state has been existing. So
Right.
like now that we're asking for clarity, it feels like there's like
Maybe Mark can answer that
Because the
question.
comment that was made at city council was people will vote for
Whomever.
or against whomever based on their stance for golf carts, which is ridiculous because Florida statute sets the
Okay.
stance. Go ahead, Mark, I'm
Mark.
sorry.
No problem. So I can't speak to that, but I can share with you, we have been getting requests to be able to do that. There are people out there that are doing it now. And keep in mind, there's another statute. There's one for low-speed vehicles, but there's also 316 that talks about, allows cities to exercise a right to allow golf carts on their streets. And so this is the one we're talking about now is the 316 statute, to whether or not we want to exercise that ability that the state allows us to do.
Okay.
But we have, we've been seeing it. One of the old planning theories is always don't build the sidewalks, wait till you see where the paths are, then put the sidewalks in. They're starting to see the golf carts out there, so I think at some level they're trying to, make it more user-friendly for things that people are already doing, at that level, and to match the requests that we're getting.
Okay, thank you. All right, whether we need some type of,
Yeah, so I think that at the end of the day, the main thing we need to state is that the ordinance has to follow the state statutes. It needs to be required to be registered. VIN numbers, registration and insurance needs to be required on it properly. I also think it needs to be considered that the city has some sort of waiver and protection that ensures that no underage people are going to be driving this for liability. And I also think that council needs to consider having some sort of safety course, whether that's, ran annually or quarterly. That's the only way that I feel like that this can move forward. I also think we need to take into consideration the things that Mr. Frotch has talked about, where we're taking out the language and the responsibility of these, the HOA. I think that also needs to be put into consideration there. So if we are going to name that in the ordinance, then we need to adopt those considerations as well.
for private dwellings only, okay.
That's
So
my
your
motion.
All right, I have a first, do I have a second?
Second.
Ken, all right, not Ken, sorry, Mr. McCoy. I have a first and second, all in favor of this motion, say aye.
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 Nay.
Motion, sorry, nay.
That's okay. I just wanted on record that I am not in favor of the ordinance.
So motion carries as 3-1.
We could take a deep breath now collectively if you'd like, because I know I need one. All right, thank you.
Sorry, I'm making my notes, sorry. Okay, now let's go back to I lost my agenda and all my paperwork, so give me 1 second.
All right, no, that was the end.
I
so
know we're
there's
near the end, but I just want to
Yes.
make sure we're exactly, because that was number 7 was okay.
final public
Oh, yeah.
comments.
Final public comments.
Who wants to come and lighten
Is there
the mood?
anyone in the audience that would like to make any final comments? Please come forward. Really? Oh, come on, I was expecting someone.
Come on, cowboy.
Come on down. All right. So then closing final comments. Bringing it back up to the board is for reports. Are there any, Jennifer, Joyce, no?
Just, we are having the Heroes Memorial and the Veterans Memorial on Veterans Day up at the new Heroes Memorial and Veterans Memorial that we're having on right down at the May Griffin Pavilion.
At 10?
So they're at 10 o'clock, I believe.
And we have
Kathy,
fishing with a first responder, correct, Mark? That's a thing that's coming up that's still open?
Responders, yes.
Fishing with
For-
first responders,
I
so
think
wouldn't-
it's under 14.
So under the age of 14, if someone is interested in fishing with a first responder, they can go on to the
Please
city?
let Grant know. They'd like, it's a great opportunity for kids to get to know our firefighters and our sheriff's department.
And they can register on the city website for that?
I'm not sure, but just
Okay,
contact.
so
Grant.
contact Grant Hodges if you're interested with fishing with a first responder.
That's
Me remembering things.
Oh, look at you. Anything else? Any other reports or comments or things? Okay, then. Can I get a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Thank you guys very much.
You're
I
welcome.
appreciate your
Second.
patience tonight.
Thank you. I have a first and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion approved. What time is it? It is 9 o'clock.